I still vividly remember the first moment I met Nathan. It was a crisp autumn afternoon with golden leaves gently falling outside the office window. I was struggling with a challenging report when he appeared, his warm smile and kind eyes lighting up the room. "Let me give you a hand," he said, and from that moment on, my life began a new chapter, filled with both sweetness and challenges. But perhaps I could never have guessed that behind that gentle smile lay a story full of complexities I was yet to face. My name is Lauren, I'm 29 years old, and I've been working at a media company in New York for almost 4 years. My job was stable, my colleagues were friendly, and I loved the feeling of being immersed in creative projects. Nathan, 3 years older than me, was one of the department managers, respected by everyone for his talent and dedication. He was the one who guided me through those early days at work, when I was still shy and lacking confidence. Our relationship began with working together on projects, late-night meetings, at the times he would casually bring me a warm cup of coffee. At first, I thought he was just being kind and polite. But gradually I began to notice his thoughtful gestures, the meaningful glances he gave me. And then, without realizing when, my heart started to beat differently around him. Our first date happened on a weekend when Nathan suggested visiting the aquarium. I hadn't expected him to choose such a charming place. We wandered through the vibrant tanks, watching the fish swim gracefully like dreams. Standing by the dolphin exhibit, Nathan bought me a small dolphin figurine, saying, "It will bring you good luck." Since then, that figurine became a cherished keepsake, a reminder of that beautiful day. We spent 3 years together, weathering many ups and downs in both work and life. Nathan always made me feel safe and genuinely loved. He was clear about his future plans, often talking about a small house in the suburbs where we would plant flowers and raise a little dog. Every time he mentioned it, his eyes would glow with warmth and hope, making me fall even deeper in love with him. On our 3rd anniversary, Nathan took me back to that very same aquarium. He led me to the dolphin tank, the exact spot where we had stood together for the first time. I hadn't yet grasped what was happening when he suddenly knelt down, holding a sparkling ring, and asked, "Will you marry me?" My heart burst with joy as I nodded through my tears. The people around us clapped and cheered, and everything seemed more perfect than ever before. But that joy quickly dimmed when I visited his family for the first time. Nathan's father was warm and welcoming, greeting me with a kind smile and cheerful stories. His mother, however, was the complete opposite. From the very first glance, I felt a coldness emanating from her. She didn't hesitate to criticize my appearance, implying that I wasn't refined enough to fit into their family. Her words were soft but loaded with hidden meanings, making me feel like an outsider in their lavish home. Despite trying to stay calm, I couldn't deny that Nathan's mother's words had hurt me. I started to worry about the future, wondering if I could ever truly fit in with his family. During sleepless nights, I asked myself if love alone would be enough to overcome all these obstacles. But then, I reassured myself that feeling anxious before a wedding was normal. I continued to bury myself in wedding preparations, pretending everything was fine. Nathan always said that as long as he was by my side, everything would become easier. I believed him, trusted in his promises of a bright future. But deep down, I couldn't shake off the growing unease inside me. Still, I chose to remain silent, to keep moving forward, not realizing that ahead lay challenges I had never imagined. I had thought that love and sincerity could help me get through any hardship, but the truth is, there are things that love alone cannot fix. And so my journey began to unfold. Not only the path toward marriage, but also the path to discovering the truth, to finding myself in this relationship full of surprises and turmoil. After accepting Nathan's proposal, I became immersed in wedding plans. I envisioned a cozy ceremony where friends and family from both sides would gather to share joy and love. However, things did not go as I had imagined. From the very first conversations about the wedding, Nathan's mother, Margaret, began to interfere in every decision. She called me daily, sending countless links to luxurious wedding venues, expensive bridal gowns, and even a guest list she had drafted herself. "Lauren, I think we should have the wedding at the Grand Lexington Hotel. It's the perfect place for a grand celebration. We need to invite at least 200 guests, including Nathan's business partners and my family," she said with a tone that left no room for disagreement. Every time I expressed a desire for a smaller, more intimate ceremony, Margaret showed clear disapproval. "Don't be so naive, Lauren. A wedding is not just about the two of you, it's about the reputation of our family," she emphasized. Instead of supporting me, Nathan remained silent, or changed the subject whenever I tried to discuss these growing tensions. He always told me to compromise with his mother because she only wants the best for us. The tension escalated when Margaret started contacting wedding vendors directly. She placed deposits for a classical music band, hired a decoration team with all extravagant materials, and even chose the catering menu without consulting me. By the time I found out, everything was nearly finalized. I tried to talk to Nathan, but he just shrugged and told me not to make a big deal out of it. One evening, while I was rebalancing our budget, I realized that the expenses had far exceeded our financial capacity. Nathan's family had initially promised to help with the costs, but recently Margaret hinted that young couples need to learn independence. I understood then that all the extra expenses from her lavish choices would ultimately fall on me. But that was nothing compared to what happened next. One day, while Nathan and I were getting ready to register our marriage, Margaret called and asked to meet me privately. She didn't beat around the bush, bluntly stating that she expected me to quit my job after getting married. A good wife should stay at home, take care of the family, and support her husband's career. Nathan needs peace of mind to focus on his work, she said, her tone more like a command than a suggestion. I couldn't believe my ears, but I remained polite, replying that I loved my current job and had no intention of quitting. Margaret frowned, her displeasure evident in her cold gaze. The peak of everything came just a few weeks before the wedding. I discovered that Nathan had canceled the lease on the new apartment we had chosen. Instead, he announced that we would be living with his mother after the wedding. "It'll save us money. Mom is also thrilled to have more company," he said, as if it were just a minor change. I was stunned. All my belongings, including the wedding gifts I had prepared, had been moved to Margaret's house without my consent. The harsh truth finally surfaced on the day we were supposed to leave for our honeymoon. I woke up early, eagerly double-checking our luggage and passports. But when I asked Nathan about the plane tickets, his answers were vague. Suddenly, Margaret appeared in our room with a large suitcase. "Nathan, are you ready? I don't want to miss our flight," she said, her voice filled with excitement. I froze. "Wait, why are you bringing luggage? This is our honeymoon," I asked, my voice trembling with confusion. Nathan, unfazed, responded, "I never said I was going with you. This is a trip to thank Mom for everything she's done for me. You stay home and get everything cleaned up." It felt like the world crumbled beneath me. I couldn't believe what I had just heard. In an instant, all the beautiful memories, all the sweet promises became meaningless. I stood there, hollow and numb, watching Nathan and Margaret cheerfully roll their suitcases out the door, leaving me in an empty house with a pain too deep for words. After they left, I started packing my things, planning to return to my parents' house. While cleaning the living room, I stumbled upon a thick stack of documents under the sofa. Curious, I opened it, only to be shocked by what I read. It was clear evidence showing that Nathan had been embezzling money from his company, and Margaret had been part of the scheme. Everything, from shady financial transactions to lists of luxurious items they had bought with company funds, was meticulously documented. I sank to the floor, feeling utterly drained. But then anger surged through me, giving me the strength to get back on my feet. I knew what I had to do. I organized all the documents, took photos, and carefully stored all the evidence. I didn't just want to end this marriage. I wanted to confront Nathan and his mother directly. For the first time in my life, I felt the need to be stronger than ever before. The next morning, I went straight to the company, met with the HR director, and laid out the entire story. Seeing the shock in their eyes, I knew I had done the right thing. This wasn't just about fighting for myself, but also about protecting the company from those who would take advantage of it. I walked out of the office, stepped onto the bustling street, and felt a wave of relief wash over me. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had finally found myself again. Although I didn't know what the future held, I promised myself that I would never let anyone take advantage of me or walk all over me again. Above all, I vowed never to lose the respect and love I had for myself. I walked out of the office with a stack of documents in my hands, my mind torn between determination and an overwhelming emptiness. As I watched the rush of people on the bustling streets of New York, I wondered what I had lost along the journey of loving and trusting Nathan. But perhaps the saddest part wasn't his betrayal. It was the fact that I had allowed myself to become so weak that I missed all the red flags along the way. As soon as I got home, I called my Uncle Mike, my mom's older brother. He was the chief financial officer at the company where I worked, but very few people knew we were related. From my first day at the company, I had promised myself I would prove my capabilities on my own, without relying on anyone. Uncle Mike had respected my wishes, so we always maintained a professional distance at work. Hearing my voice, Uncle Mike immediately sensed something was wrong. "Lauren, are you okay? Did something happen?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. I didn't hold back, recounting everything from the manipulated wedding plans to the honeymoon that Nathan and his mother had taken without me. When I mentioned the financial misconduct documents, Uncle Mike fell silent for a long moment. "You did the right thing by calling me. Let me handle the rest." 2 days later, an emergency meeting was called at the company. Nathan had just returned from his trip with his mother, completely unaware of the storm waiting for him. As he walked into the conference room, I could see the unease in his eyes when he saw me sitting next to Uncle Mike and the other executives. "I heard you had quite an interesting trip," Uncle Mike began, his voice calm but his eyes sharp as ice. "But perhaps you didn't realize that while you were enjoying yourself, we uncovered some very interesting information about your financial activities at the company." Nathan looked bewildered. "What do you mean, Uncle? I don't understand." "Don't play innocent, Nathan," I spoke up, unable to hold back. "All the evidence is right here, including the detailed records your mother left behind. You've been embezzling company funds, and you even documented every lavish purchase made for her." With no escape route left, Nathan's expression shifted from shock to panic. "Lauren, I'm sorry. I just wanted to help my mom. She's always under so much financial pressure, and I didn't know what else to do. Please help me. You love me, right?" Nathan's pleas did nothing to soften my resolve. All the love and trust I had once given him had turned into pure disappointment. "Love is not about being used, Nathan. You chose the wrong path, and now you have to face the consequences on your own." When the meeting ended, Nathan was immediately suspended. The company initiated legal proceedings to recover the lost funds. Margaret, Nathan's mother, kept calling me, switching between pleading and threatening. "Lauren, you can't do this to our family. Withdraw the accusations and come back home. We'll work this out together." But I knew exactly what work this out meant. It would be empty promises and subtle manipulation to push me into a corner. I decided to block her number and moved back in with my parents. They welcomed me with open arms and heartfelt support. My mom cried a lot when she heard my story, while my dad quietly patted my shoulder, but I could feel the deep love in every hug. The divorce proceedings began shortly after. With the help of Uncle Mai and an experienced lawyer, everything went more smoothly than I expected. Nathan tried to delay things, claiming I was the one who caused all the problems, and that he had only been caught up in the situation, but all the evidence pointed to him as the mastermind, with his mother as his accomplice. The company decided to take the case to court, to reclaim the lost money. During this time, Nathan's family began to fall apart. Margaret, who had always been a strong, controlling woman, became isolated and withdrawn. She no longer appeared at family gatherings or social events. Neighbors started to gossip, and I heard she had fallen into a state of depression. Nathan's father, David, was the only person in his family for whom I still had some sympathy. He had always been polite and kind, but perhaps he was too exhausted from his wife and son's actions. He filed for divorce. "I can't live another day in this web of lies," he told me during one of our conversations. "Lauren, you did the right thing. I only wish I had seen it sooner." After the divorce, I focused on my work and started rebuilding my life. Uncle Mike suggested I transfer to another branch of the company, where no one knew about my story with Nathan. I agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to start fresh and distance myself from painful memories. Nathan, after being fired and left without support, began to spiral into a crisis. He lost the ability to work as no one wanted to hire someone who had embezzled company funds. The luxury items he and his mother had bought with stolen money were confiscated. They had to sell their house to pay off debts, and eventually Nathan had to rely on support from social organizations. Though the story ended with a lot of hurt, I did not regret what I had done. I had stood up for myself, protected my dignity, and regained my self-respect. Above all, I learned that sometimes loving yourself is the greatest act of courage. My life turned a new page when I received the transfer notice to the company's San Francisco office. The coastal scenery, sloping streets, and vibrant city life made me feel reborn. The new job not only helped me escape sad memories but also opened up new opportunities for personal growth. My colleagues at the new branch were welcoming. They accepted me without prying into my past, focusing only on what I could contribute to the company. Every morning I started my day with a run along the San Francisco Bay, feeling the fresh breeze and gazing at the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance. For the first time in months I felt a genuine sense of peace in my soul. I no longer had to face scrutinizing looks or deal with rumors. Here I was free to start over and build a completely new life. I began planning a trip to Italy, a place I had once dreamed of visiting on my honeymoon. But this time, it wasn't a trip for two. It was a journey of freedom, where I could explore ancient cities on my own, enjoy delicious cuisine, and create new memories for myself. I meticulously researched and made a list of destinations, from the grandeur of Rome to the romantic charm of Venice and the artistic richness of Florence. The plane tickets were booked and the hotels were ready to welcome me. Every time I looked at my detailed itinerary, a wave of excitement washed over me. This wasn't just a vacation, it was a symbol of liberation and reclaiming myself. I wanted every step on the cobblestone streets of Italy to be a step closer to the new life I was truly in control of. One late afternoon, as the sunset bathed San Francisco in golden light, I sat by the window of my small apartment, sipping warm tea and smiling. I had once thought my life revolved around Nathan and the expectations of his family. But now, I understood that I had the power to create my own happiness, and the journey to Italy would be the beginning of that new chapter. Though there were still moments when memories of the past tugged at my heart, I knew I had made the right choice. I had risen from the ruins, rebuilt myself, and refused to let the wounds linger any longer. When the plane took off, leaving American soil behind, I would leave all the pain behind as well, carrying with me only what truly mattered: courage, resilience, and faith in a brighter future.